Do you know what is the most common reason for client complaints? If you have a little bit of experience, for sure you can say installation mistakes. How to do the sliding doors measurement well? You will see in today's episode. Hi, I'm Wojtek Stanowski. I'm the head of thebesto.com, one of the biggest Polish distributors of windows, doors and garage doors. In my videos I will share with you knowledge about the construction and joinery industry from B2B perspective. I will explain the main topic of this episode based on a few real situations from construction sites. The rules of installation are the same for every material, such as vinyl, UPVC, aluminium or wood. Let's start with the measurement. The way of measurement is different in each of these three examples. First situation. You install the door when the floor is done and there is no possibility of embedding the threshold in it. Second. You install the door in conditions where the current floor is below the final height and your door has a low threshold embedded in the floor. Third. You install the door in conditions where the floor is below the final height, but the threshold will be not embedded in the floor. In the first example, you should measure the width of the door opening from right to left and three heights and choose the smallest dimension. Subtract 2 cm from the left and 2 cm from the right. In this way, you have the width of the opening in the narrowest place minus 4 cm. Determining the height is a more difficult task. It all depends on the installation conditions. If the floor in the building is finished and we cannot embed the threshold into the floor, we determine the patio door height from the floor to the lintel line, subtracting 2-3 cm from expansion joints. Remember to order doors with the lowest possible threshold if you can. For example, in bifold door or HS sliding doors, you can order threshold not embedded in the floor and meeting the criteria of low threshold without barriers. Let me show you this on an example. We have a window opening with dimension declared by the investor as 400 cm in width and 220 cm in height. It turns out that when measuring the width at the bottom, the real dimension is 398 cm. In the middle, 400 cm and at the lintel 401 cm. Therefore, our width is the smallest dimension, 398 cm minus 4 cm, which equals 394 cm. The height is similar. For the left jump, 221 cm. In the middle, 223 cm. And for the right, 224 cm. We choose the lowest measurement, 221 cm, we subtract 2 cm and set the door height as 219 cm. Therefore, to order doors you should provide the following dimensions: 394 cm and 219 cm. And always remember that the width is given first. It is more difficult to determine the correct height of door when the building is under construction and there is no physically finished floor yet, the so-called level 0. In this case, you must require from the investor to indicate and mark on the walls where the floor level is planned. Once you have determined the zero level of the finished floor, with tiles, carpet, plank or anything else, measurement is very simple, but there are two options again. If you plan to install the door with the threshold embedded in the floor, you can do measurement as follows. Measure the height from level 0 to the lintel at minimum of 3 points. Then you subtract 2 cm from the lowest height obtained. And this is the height of your door from the threshold to the upper part of the frame. But attention! To order the door correctly, you must add the threshold height to this height, which depending on the model, can be from 20 to 90 mm. In order for the measurement to be complete and allow you to order the correct door size, you must measure the height from 0 to the current level of the bottom frame at minimum 3 points and provide the lowest obtained dimension for the supplier. Having those three parameters: 1. The height of the opening from the lintel to the 0 level. 2. Door model and threshold height which will be embedded in the floor. 3. And height from the bottom frame to the 0 level. The supplier will select a sliding door with an embedded threshold of optimal dimensions and system profiles widening the frame or ground profile, for example from XPS or Styrodur. To describe the measurement process accurately, we'll use an example. The door opening declared by the investor is 400 cm wide. In practice, The width at floor height is 401 centimeters. At half height, it's 399 centimeters and 400 centimeters near the lintel. The door will therefore be 399 centimeters minus 4 centimeters equals 395 centimeters wide. The declared height is 240 centimeters. However, it turns out that in practice the finished floor will be 20 centimeters higher than the current bottom jump. After marking it on the walls and using a laser level to measure in 3 places from the sideways, the dimension from the future level 0 to the lintel is 221 cm on the left, 221 cm on the right and 219 cm in the center. The height from the threshold to the upper frame of the door will therefore be 219 cm minus 2 cm equals 217 centimeters. So, as we choose CoreVision Plus doors from Cortizo, the threshold is 6.9 centimeters. The finished height of the shift is therefore 217 centimeters plus 6.9 centimeters threshold equals 223.9 centimeters. The total size of the sliding door will be 395 centimeters for 223.9 centimeters. For this, we choose system extensions to be embedded in the floor. 3 measurements from the level of the finished floor to the current one. 20 centimeters on the left, 19 centimeters in the middle and 21 centimeters on the right. So, the extension we need are 19 centimeters minus 6.9 centimeters threshold equals 12.1 centimeters. The whole measurement is written as follows. Window width 395 centimeters. Window height 223.9 centimeters plus extensions profile 12.1 centimeters high. If you install bifold door or sliding door like Smile Slide with a threshold base set at floor height, measurement is much simpler. You only need measurements at 3 points in height from the 0 level of the finished floor to the lintel. You subtract 2 centimeters from the lowest dimension and this is the height of your door. Extensions. In 3 points as in the previous example. The height from the finished floor level to the bottom jump. You give the lowest value to the supplier as the dimension to which you should choose system profile expanding the frame or ground profiles. Let's put into the practice. The hole decorated by the inventory 400 cm for 240 cm. The finished floor will be 20 cm higher than the current height of the seal. The situation with the width is identical to the previous example. The dimensions below are 401 cm, 399 cm in the middle and 400 cm in the top. Therefore, the width is 399 cm minus 4 cm equals 395 cm. What about height? With identical assumption. From the future floor to the drive rail height, from the left 221, right 221, in the middle 220 centimeters. The door will be 220 centimeters high minus 2 centimeters equals 218 centimeters high. Thus, the size of this finished door is 395 centimeters for 218 centimeters. It remains to choose the ground widening. We measure the height from the sill to the finished floor height, 0 level. From the left 20 centimeters, in the middle 19 centimeters and on the right 21 centimeters. Therefore, we order extensions from the supplier up to 19 centimeters. Giving the following ordering parameters: windows dimensions 395 centimeters for 218 centimeters plus system extensions 19 centimeters. You will learn more about measurements on our website, where you will find a full description and drawings illustrating our examples. And if you have any questions about how to measure sliding doors correctly, ask me in the comments. That's all for today. Don't forget to like, comment and share. Also subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video.